The 2024 window of game releases has reached its end, and while there weren't as many big releases as there were in 2023, there were still lots to play in 2024. Some fell short of expectations, some just flew under everyone's radar, and some truly rose above all others. But today, I want to look back at the games I had the chance to try out last year. So welcome to Joe's Oops All Games Favorite Games of 2024. Notice how I said favorite rather than best. That is because I did not play everything that was released last year. Therefore, games that probably would have made it in the list had I played them are absent. This list will also be in release date order as to not play favorites. So, let's get started. Seeing the state of the gaming industry right now, there's a lot to offer if you're a fan of the player versus player shooting game genre. But the team at Arrowhead Studios had something different to offer with the newest installment of the Helldivers series. Rather than putting players against each other, the sequel to the top-down space shooter has players teaming up against aliens and robots in attempts to defend their planet. Helldivers 2 is a great cooperative game to play with friends, regardless of your skill level and knowledge of the series. It's one of those games that feel welcoming to anyone, backed by the interesting lore and live service type progression style. If you haven't already, gather a squad and give Helldivers 2 a shot. One of the greatest things about the video game industry is the amount of variety in each game's history. Some games are made for the sole intent of making money, some are made with gallons of passion and love, and some are just plain impressive. Take this year's indie hit Balatro for example. This game was made by just one individual, and it took the world by storm last year. And rightfully so, because this has had me hooked since the moment I started playing it. If you're familiar with poker, you'll understand how Balatro works. It's simple but complex at the same time, and seeing the big number go up after playing for a while is super satisfying. For $15, Balatro is one of those games you can't go wrong giving a shot. It's incredible to think that a fan favorite game in an RPG series would not only get a remake, but an entire trilogy of games dedicated to remaking one game. And the second installment of this trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, takes things to the next level thanks to the power of this generation's hardware. This one takes the world of Final Fantasy VII Remake and expands into various open areas, giving you so much more to explore and encounter. While not too much else has changed from Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth still strives to be its own thing and hits a lot of its marks as both a sequel and as a remake. And thanks to the PlayStation 5 Pro enhancement, you can enjoy this game at a high graphics setting and smooth frame rates. As this generation has progressed, Nintendo has done a relatively good job of making sure a lot of their legacy titles are made available to Switch owners in some shape or form, and the big one this year was a complete remake of a GameCube hit. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, originally released in 2004, has been revered as the best in the series to this day. So it makes sense that 20 years later, the game gets a full-on remake for the Nintendo Switch. The battle mechanics and witty writing from the original is still in full force here, but now the game gets a brand new coat of paint to show off how good video games can look with 20 years of hardware development and some creativity. This remake gives new players a chance to experience a true classic in a whole new way. For over a decade, one of the yearly sports games has been dormant. Madden, NHL, and NBA 2K carried on, while one series ran into some legal problems in the face of name, image, likeness. But 2024 was the year that college football made its way back into the world of video games. While College Football 25 doesn't stray too far away from the typical football video game pattern, it's just nice to see this series coming back. Seeing 134 colleges represented in this entry casts a wide net so anyone can find a team to play for. And with some new mechanics in place, this is one to keep the football fans entertained until the next entry. In all my years playing games, the amount of times I've had a giddy smile on my face during the entire game has been limited. But the most recent addition to that list has been the adorable Astrobot, a brand new 3D platformer from Sony. This game oozes love and passion every step of the way. On top of everything else the game excels in, the game is just a lot of fun. From the tight controls to the insane amount of PlayStation references, Astrobot is one of the most well-crafted experiences this generation has to offer and is a must-play for anyone with a PlayStation 5. And it's my personal pick for Game of the Year. New indie development teams have had some great debut titles in recent years. Games like Stray, Pizza Tower, and Balatro have taken the gaming world by storm with their unique perspectives on game development and the amount of love and care that's been poured into them. This year I had an experience like that in the form of the Plucky Squire. From the moment I saw any bit of gameplay, I knew this would be one to keep an eye on, and boy was I right. This game handles switching between 2D and 3D gameplay styles effortlessly, connecting every little detail together throughout the whole journey. What the team at All Possible Futures have done with their first project leaves me with high hopes for what they can do in the future. The Mario Party series has had a rough lineup since the series' glory days on the Nintendo 64 and GameCube, but it seems like things are back on track for everyone's favorite way to ruin a friendship. Super Mario Party Jamboree released in 2024, proclaiming itself as the biggest Mario Party ever. And we're proud to say that this game most certainly holds itself to that. On top of the 5 new boards, each with unique mechanics, the game also features new game modes to keep things interesting and competitive. Whether you want to test your rhythm skills in the Rhythm Kitchen, work together with friends to create items in Toad's Item Factory, defeat a giant Bowser in Bowser Kaboom Squad, or take to the streets online in the Koopathlon, there's plenty to do in the newest installment of this beloved series. When Sega dubbed 2024 as the Year of Shadow, I think a lot of fans were curious about what exactly that entailed. Shadow was making his big screen debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but was that really all it took for them? Simply put, no. As it turns out, Sonic Team had been working on a remaster of 2011's Sonic Generations, and in tandem adding an all-new campaign dedicated to everyone's favorite edgy hedgehog. Though this is a bit of a shorter campaign, Shadow Generations is a fun time every step of the way. Getting to see new powers and ideas come to life in a formula now forgotten makes it all the better, and it makes me hopeful to see more from Shadow going forward. And now we have our newest release of the list, Marvel Rivals. Now for me personally, the free-to-play online multiplayer scene isn't my kind of thing. But all of a sudden, I find myself wanting to play more and more of this game the longer I have to reflect on it. Marvel Rivals does what a lot of other free-to-play games refuse to do when it comes to letting players play at their own pace. The rewards from a battle pass don't go away at the end of a season, meaning you can still be working on it 6 months from now if you so wish. The game also has all of their characters available for free day one, which, believe it or not, is not too common in these kinds of games. And above all else, the game is simply fun. Getting to see new team-ups from the Marvel characters we love and rocking some impressive new looks is always fun to see. For a free-to-play game, you cannot go wrong giving Marvel Rivals a try, especially if you're wanting to play with some friends. Well, that's the end of my list, though it feels wrong to not include some honorable mentions. These are just a few of the games I would have included had I had the time to play them. Well, Power World was fun for a bit, wasn't it? A cross between Pokemon and Breath of the Wild that kind of took the internet by storm for a while. Sadly, I did not give it my full attention when the game released and it fell off my radar. Which is also exactly what happened with Persona 3 Reload. As someone who's been trying to get into the Persona series, I was excited to see what this remake of Persona 3 had to offer. It's just unfortunate that this was around the time that I discovered the Alan Wake series. While we're on the subject, I did actually end up playing through most of the Alan Wake 2 DLC expansions. Night Springs and the Lake House take two wildly different approaches to expanding on the world of Alan Wake 2, and I enjoyed my time with them, though it felt weird to add DLC to a list based on full releases. Which leads us to, I have no doubt that Shadow of the Erdtree is a great expansion to an already great game. However, I never played the base game, so I can't say much on the quality of the DLC. Sorry, Elden Ring fans. I'll get around to it eventually. But getting back to full games, or rather a collection of them, the Marvel vs. Capcom series came back in a big way this year, putting out the Arcade Classics collection. This release features 7 titles in the series, including the hard-to-find Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's always nice to see rare games become easier for fans to play and enjoy, and I can't wait to start delving into it, even though I have waited this long. And finally, we have the newest entry in the Microsoft Flight Simulator series. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has a lot of new ideas to offer, including an entirely revamped career mode that actually lets you exit your plane to take photos and time trial races.
While the game didn't launch in the best state, it looks like the skies are clear at this point in time.
And that officially does it for my favorite games of 2024. Of course, I wasn't able to get every release this year, but there was still a lot of good to play in 2024. But we want to know, what were your favorite games you played last year? Jump on down to the comments section on YouTube and share your thoughts.
Thanks for watching. Stick around by subscribing today and don't miss a single video.